after a divorce, and after the passing, untimely passing of my father. So that's how I became a writer. And here I am.
From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? What's going on this beautiful Sunday? It's actually rainy Sunday on this end. Without further ado, let me bring in the beautiful Shan. Shan, I'll be like, 1 second. What's going on, Shan?
Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. I can't believe I get to be back on the panel again. It's to be interesting.
Oh, yeah. You bring great perspective to the show, so why not have you back and get your thought-provoking stuff going on there. We're talking about, actually tonight we'll be talking about quantity versus quality. Quantity or quality. And what actually got me thinking about that was I was going through my blog site again. I think I wrote that back in 2012. And talking about relationship, how with some relationships, when they're plagued with issues and problems, and let's say a relationship for 20 years, and then you get to the point where I don't know what I want to do. I've invested too much time in this. I can't let this 20 years go. But if he's been cheating 10 to 15 years out of 20 years, what's the quality in that relationship? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So where's the quality in that relationship? And why is it so hard for folks to actually walk away from 20, 30 years if half of the marriage has been total chaos? There's not quality. There's no quality there. So quantity or quality? I'd rather have, I don't know about you, but I'd rather have 20 seconds of peace than 20 years of heartache. Constant, repeatedly, over and over again. 20 seconds of peace is doing me just fine. What say you?
I would have to agree. Definitely the quality. I mean, I actually left a 15, 16-year relationship. So it's definitely quality for me. I think inner peace, joy, and quality of life was more of a priority. So I totally get it and understand and would definitely choose the quality portion. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, today, just think about today's climate. Life is extremely too short just to deal with foolishness, night in and night out, going to bed angry, upset. Life is extremely too short to even tolerate it. 60 seconds and I'm out. And that's what we should, I mean, in today's climate, man, people are dropping like flies. So why even entertain it? Why even go through the rigmarole? Why even deal with it?
I think people have different reasons for staying when they say years. I mean, I get it and I totally understand. I think, there are a lot of different things to consider that folks consider, whether it's a family unit, and there's kids involved, whether, depending on how old they are when they're trying to make the decision as whether to stay or go. But either way, it really takes a lot of inner strength and inner courage really to do that after such a long period of time. And I think really if you kind of go back, if people could go back to the beginning, I often wonder how many folks would have made a different decision if they could have done it over by the time they get to the point where they have that question about quantity or quality.
Right. I get it. Yeah,
Did you not mute your phone?
I did. And I don't know why Ty is actually calling me. She know I'm actually on air.
So unprofessional. That's all I'm going to say tonight.
Knock it off. Yeah, so I mean that's the I mean, even in the social media age, let's talk about that as far as relationships and public relationships and all these just public display of affection and all this stuff. A lot of folks are ashamed into staying. Like, wow, what am I gonna?
Very true.
All I'm saying.
Yeah,
I see a lot of folks. I know a lot of folks on here, and I know their relationships are not what they shooting it to be. And I say shoot it to be. And I'm like, oh wow, why are you still there? Why are you still dealing with that? You know, that's what I call superficial living in a superficial bubble.
yeah. It's funny how social media does that. Where I think I read somewhere where people only 20% of what people post is actually their real life, and the other 80% is maybe what they want it to be or what they want you to believe it actually is. But
Right.
I would concur with that. Probably that people get shamed into it, or they get it kind of gets to that point. Like, let's say you're talking about somebody with 30 years invested, 20 plus years invested, and it's kind of like, well, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? So I get that people
Yeah,
ask
but if he or she's been cheating 15 of those 20 years, what's the quality in that relationship?
well, that's true about the quality, but then it also comes back to how that person that stayed in that relationship, even though that other person was cheating or dishonest or deceitful or whatever it was that reduced the level of quality in the relationship, why they were willing to accept it and to stay in it. And that all goes, it's funny how all of this goes back to that whole thing that you always say, your words of trauma and having unhealed trauma or unaddressed trauma.
Exactly. Yeah. That's true. That's true. But I mean, me personally, I've done it before. Let's just be transparent about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a 10-year marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and about the 7-year in, everything went haywire. I stayed an extra 3 years.
Why?
Years. Denial.
What were you denying though?
Oh, she's coming back. She's coming back.
Oh, okay.
She's coming back. You know, then and the thing about it, back then I didn't have the tools to actually get over it. But now I would have tools to get over a situation like that. But back then, I didn't even realize I was going through the 5 steps of grief and loss. When you lose a relationship, a marriage, or whatever it is, or what have you, it's almost like a death. You're going to repeat these steps over and over again: denial, acceptance, anger, forgiving, and you take them all back. 5 steps of grief and loss, all back. That's what I was doing. I was just in the circle: denial, acceptance. I'm going to forgive her. I'm going to take her back. All of that. That 3 years. I was in turmoil for 3 years.
Wow.
I finally made my mind up and say, you know what? I got to get out of Michigan. I got to get out of here. And it was just light bulb moment, and I was out. I was out. But it's hard. It's definitely hard. So I'm not sitting here saying that it's an easy situation to be placed in. But at some point, you got to take the rose-colored glasses off and look at exactly what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think yours was denial, and I think there was someone who's watching on Facebook. I think it's Donna, who basically said people get comfortable and content in the position and in that relationship, which is true. You do.
Exactly.
You can become content and just comfortable and feel like, okay, let's just write it out. We've been doing it this long.
My question is it contentment or is it fear of leaving, of being alone?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question for Donna.
Yeah. That's Is it fear? I know for me, some of it was fear. Actually, she was just like,
really?
Yeah, for me it was actually fear. I didn't want to be alone. I mean, men go through the same things, man. Most men won't admit that, but it was fear for me. It was really fear.
Wow. Even with all the stuff that I mean, even with the betrayal, you were still willing to go back into this and just being fearful of being alone.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's
that. Plus, my daughter played a huge part in it. I really wanted my family to stay together and all this other stuff. But the main part was fear, because I was actually in a foreign place. I was in Michigan. I was living in Michigan at that time, so it's real different when you're there alone. So it was a lot of fear in that.
I don't think I ever had a fear of being alone. I think I had a fear of change, of knowing that I had to pick up and start doing. I would have to pick up and start doing things on my own. But I never went through having a fear that, you know, I would never ever again meet anybody or get married or any of that stuff. That was not part of mine.
Well, no, it wasn't that type of fear.
Well,
No,
what type of fear was it then?
I just didn't want to be alone. Period.
Well, I mean, that goes into the same thing. Well, no, I didn't have a fear of that. That I did not have a fear of. Yeah, I didn't have a fear of being alone. But I did have a fear of just change and of having to pick up all the responsibility by myself. I'll say.
Right.
That was not part of my
life. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh my God, you're just real unprofessional tonight. What's going on, Mr. Williams?
Knock it off.
I'm just saying.
My apologies.
Is it just because I'm here tonight and our other third party isn't here tonight, so I just get all the unprofessionalism?
Whatever. Knock it off. Hey, Donna, what's going on? Donna's actually in the comments tonight.
Hey.
Donna's actually in the comments tonight. I said that's what I was trying to do without going through all this stuff here. Erica, my niece Erica, out of Michigan, she's in the comments tonight there as well. Good stuff. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Yeah, so like I said, it was actually out of fear for me. Didn't want to be alone. So go ahead.
I'm sorry, I mean, what was what was like the straw that kind of made you say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go for it. I'm going to push through this fear and just go for it.
The moment I got all the information back from the private investigator.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, this is a wrap. This is over. This is done. It's gone beyond disrespect. So this is over with.
Wow.
So
wait, was it disrespect or was there a part of it where there would be like what other people would be saying?
It was the disrespect part for me.
So there was no ego involved as far as I can't do, like my boys would be like, it was just a disrespect. Okay.
I tell you one thing that with that situation, once I decided to move away, I transferred to Houston. I moved to a totally different city. Instead of going to New Orleans, that's what I was afraid of, going home. I was afraid of going home, meaning facing my brothers, my parents, and because everyone looked at us as we're like the Will and Jade of our crew.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, we were very successful and doing things, doing well. But it was more of an embarrassment. I couldn't face my brothers. I couldn't face my family.
Wow.
Yeah. I went a whole different era. Passed up New Orleans. I stopped and visited them, and I was like, I got to go. Well, where are you moving to? Houston. Gone.
Wow.
So I stayed in Houston like 4 years.
So when did you finally deal with that, like with telling them about everything?
Actually, God rest her soul, my mother knew what was going on between my ex-wife and I years before. My mother was truly my best friend. She is the best secret keeper in the world. My brothers had no idea. So when I showed up to New Orleans for a visit, because I was living in Houston at that point, they had no idea that my ex-wife and I had split. We split. But she didn't tell anyone. She would actually fly up, take the train up, whatever she had to do to help me with Kennedie. And then she'd go back for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. And she'd be doing that like every other month, helping me out. But she never told anyone.
Wow.
Not even my brothers. No other family members knew that I was having marital problems or anything. So when I got back to New Orleans, I had to face the truth. I had to face, because I mean, in New Orleans, I'm not going there. So, well, when you going home? I'm like, I'm not going home. I already told them what happened. But it was the fear of facing my family and coming home. I felt like I was coming home as a failure. So I could see the whole back and forth with that type of situation. But quantity and quality, I'd rather the 20 minutes apiece than the 10 years of heartache.
Yeah, I would think, well, I would want to think that the majority of us would want that too, but there are people that stay married for a lifetime and they don't necessarily have quality. They've just been in it for so long.
Exactly.
I just, for me, like I said, I had about 15, 16 years into it, and I was just at a point where I looked at some things around me and I looked at some people around me and their relationships. And I just knew, 30 years down the line, I didn't want to have that sense of regret and also just not being happy and completely fulfilled. And I had lots of decisions to weigh. I had 3 small children. They're all semi-adults now. But it was very challenging, and there was that moment, I will say and be honest about it, that it's like, okay, do I just go ahead and stay it out for the kids' sake? Just
exactly.
suck up my own happiness and peace, to make sure that my kids have some semblance of structure.
Exactly. What I've learned that in that situation, the more you stay, the more you burn. The more you stay, you're gonna constantly burn. You're in turmoil, constantly in turmoil, and no one's healing. Everyone. The only person that truly lost in that situation was our daughter.
Yeah.
Her parents. So at that point, you get to the point where do you want to be right or do you want to win? I'd rather win. That's the stages I was in. I would rather have won, meaning winning. Getting over the hump, bringing everybody over to the finish line. So I didn't want to be right. I just wanted to
win. So how do you feel now? Do you feel like you made the right decision? Do you feel, I
made an excellent decision. Yes.
Okay.
Excellent decision. So everybody's well. Actually, she and I are great friends. And
really?
Yeah, we're great friends. She actually helped me with the nonprofit.
That's really good.
Yeah. So we're great friends, and Kennedie's well. She's doing fine. She's doing real good. Real good. It's about 20 minutes after that. We're going to take a quick break, get to some of these commercials. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead to the break. I'm good.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back, folks. 1 second.
Welcome back to Conversations with Trent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're online and want to be a part of tonight's topic, you can do that by dialing 347-324-5327. Press the number 1 to get into the queue so that your voice can be added to tonight's conversation. Now, let's get back to the show. Back to the show.
Tops and Bottoms, the official sponsor. Tell the folks about Tops and Bottoms before we get back into it.
Other than we have like the most
Tops and Bottoms, the official sponsor. Tell the folks about Tops and Bottoms before we get back into it.
Other than we have like the most
Tops and Bottoms, the official sponsor. Tell the folks about Tops and Bottoms before we get back into it.
Other than we have like the most
Tops and Bottoms, the official sponsor. Tell the folks about Tops and Bottoms before we get back into it.
Other than we have like the
Uh-oh. She lost her connection. She lost connection there. We'll be right back. Before we go back to a real quick commercial, we'll be
Check out the creative work of the author Trent Williams of www.taylorkennedymedia.com. Chapter of the Delta gives us a peek at his life-changing events. And if that's not enough, Trent tells you more about his brothers and his life through memoirs in his book, The Four Horsemen. His blogs and daily stimulating quotes are published in his book, Life's Little Addiction. And when you have a need of some human coaching of life and relationships, take a look at Conversations with Trent, Volume 1 and 2, and Conversations with Trent, Limited Edition. You will find his works available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all online book retailers.
Sorry. Technical issues on my side.
You know what? You know what? That's what you get for giving me a hard time about being unprofessional with the phone calls.
Okay.
You're good. So
Yes,
tell
yes.
the folks about the Tops and Bottoms, man. Go ahead.
So other than having like the most delicious desserts like on the planet, I'm just saying. And I wanted to, because today I spent pretty much the majority of my day baking, doing orders. And this week I focused on a new cookie. So I know you've been highlighting and talking about and raving about, and thank you very much about the chocolate chip cookie.
I don't think you can top that one. So unless you send me enough,
You
like
know what? But it's
done.
close. I got this white chocolate macadamia.
don't get hung up on. Do not get hung up on.
It's to die for. I don't even think I need a man after having one of these.
You can always be glad. Knock it off. So
That's why they make stores. I'm just saying. They got special stores for that stuff.
Hey, so are you saying you're gonna ship that to me or something? I mean, I can't believe you're eating that right in front of me.
I know. Being an official sponsor, I guess you get to get a sample of the newest products. So yes, sir.
Yeah, send me like 12 or something.
12. I said sample.
Well, I mean, what's a sample?
2, 3.
Not gonna happen.
But these are really good. Oh my God. I bake and all that kind of stuff. I don't eat a lot of the stuff that I bake, not because it's not good, because it's delicious. More so for my, to be more health and weight conscious. But those are good. I've probably downed about 4 or 5 of those already today.
Gotcha. Well, good stuff. Hopefully I get mine in the mail. So I'm almost pretty much done with my other ones. So
You're still eating those?
yeah, I think I got like 2 left over there.
Okay.
Appreciate the package. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
As you can see, the boxes are stacking up on me over here.
I see. I like seeing that little turquoise and pink color scheme going over there.
You see that. Good stuff. So back to quantity or quality.
Mm-hmm.
So you say you prefer the quantity?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. And why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I want to at the end of the day, I will say this, that this past year, and I think most people would have come to a new sense of prioritizing life and over the past year. And, for me, it's just really about, you only get one shot at this life, and who knows how many years you get. Who knows? I've had several close friends who have unfortunately passed within the past probably 6 to 9 months.
Right.
And it just really gets you thinking about, what it is you want in your life. And I want to be able to have been able to say that I enjoyed my life, that I was actually not just happy, but had some joy, had some peace, did some things that others would remember that I was, that I was a great person or did something great for other people.
Right.
So, I guess, for me, it's kind of taken a little bit of a selfish moment, which I think it's okay in certain scenarios to have. But I just knew when I was making that decision about the quantity over the quality, because, I was one of those people who was almost close to, I was closer to having 20 years in the game than not. Right. That I knew there was more, and I just did not want to be the same as I was, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, especially when I knew things weren't going to change.
Okay. That makes sense. But, in today's climate, man, like I said earlier, in today's climate, folks are just shamed into staying. And I think that's such a tragedy if you're shamed into staying. If you know in your heart, it's over with. It's time to move on, move forward. Sometimes you have to break your own heart. Like I'm always talking about. Sometimes you have to break your own heart to actually get away from the situation and get to the greener grass.
I think for me, it was maybe a little bit of the shamed into staying, but I think if I'm really honest with myself, and gosh, I can't believe I'm about to be this transparent, but I was shamed.
What happens when you come on the Conversation with Trent show? Go ahead.
No, I was really, I think shamed into going into the relationship in the first place. My close friend, huh?
What did you just say?
I was kind of, I don't want to say shamed. I don't like that word, but I like the whole pressure type, the pressure, not necessarily shame, but pressured. Okay. Into going into it in the first place. I didn't have, I think a lot of my close friends and associates at that point in time were already a family unit, so to speak, right? A lot of married couples and, people telling you, you don't want to shack up. You want to do this. You need to do all of that kind of stuff. And it was just like, okay, why? Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah. Donna's saying pretty much the same thing you're saying. She said for her, what others would say, think, living life for others and all that, so on and so forth. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Partly, I could agree with that. As far as me personally, I was ashamed to face my family, my brothers. The only person that knew was my mother. That I was actually headed toward a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say for me it was a shame. I was more of a shame of what folks would think. Asking the whys. I was most fearful of the whys. Like, what happened? What happened to y'all? Y'all was so happy.
Yeah. Yes. And people tend to think that. And I'm not saying that I didn't have that towards the end, because honestly, most people looking at us from the outside would have never thought anything was wrong. There were some people, we'd been married for years and people didn't even know we were married.
Right.
Any regret? And I would say didn't know we were married. We worked for the same company at one point in time. And a lot of people didn't even know we were married. Wow. But a lot of people were very surprised, and people, of course, want to know why, what happened. Y'all seem like this, that, and the other. But it just goes to show you never truly know what goes on behind closed doors.
For me, I'm sitting there thinking about it now, kind of laugh, a chuckle at it now. We actually talk about this, laugh about it a lot. For me, it was more of what others would say. I mean, we was married in another country, brought the majority of our friends and family came to another country to see us get married, and spent thousands of dollars on this wedding. We had bridal showers and all this stuff in different cities throughout the year. I mean, it was a whole, she used to use the word extravaganza.
Wow. You had bridal parties bridal showers throughout the year. I mean, engagement parties throughout the year?
Throughout the year.
Oh my God.
It was a celebration.
That's right. It was in the book. It was in the book. Yes.
Yeah, it was a celebration. I mean, Canada, everywhere, Michigan, Detroit, everywhere, New Orleans. So it was more for me. It was more. I was like, wow, I don't know if I could actually face these boys, man. It was more facing the horsemen because they're like, man, what happened? But it's kind of, I chuckle at it now. It's funny. We laugh about it now. Made a big deal out of that. We put more, let's just say we put more into the superficial wedding than the actual marriage. And that's unfortunate. And that's a lesson learned. And I'm hoping that from reading the chapter of the Delta that, folks take some of my experiences and move on to a better life, because that was some superficial living at its best.
I think that's a lot of folks are guilty of that. They're so focused on the wedding, the party part of it, and not what actually happens after the party is over and you're with that person, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, that's my hope, is for folks when they pick up that chapter of the Delta book, or for instance, they pick up the new Romello book, they'll take something from that and see how they can make some adjustments in their life. Because you can't walk through life superficial, man. Superficial gets you nowhere.
Very true.
It gets you nowhere. So it's still the quantity for me. The quality, I'm sorry. It's still the quality for me. But the only way I could get now quantity, Romello would have chose that over anything.
Really? What's up?
Just something he could hang his hat on, saying, hey, I'm 30, 40 years in.
Wow.
But the present me versus the former, I take the quality. Yeah, you learn to appreciate things once you go through them. You learn to appreciate it more.
Very true. Yeah. That is very true.
What about you? Any regrets for you as far as marriage and versus?
So regrets from me, no. I would say regret probably in the form of hurting somebody else, right? I regret that my decisions caused somebody else pain and hurt. That wanted something different than I did at the time. Right. But regret as far as making a decision and choosing what I, perceived at the time was going to be a better life, and bring me more peace and happiness and joy in life. No.
Yeah. I'd have to be honest with you to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Getting to the peaceful point, it's very rewarding. Once you get on the other side of peace, it's extremely rewarding. And these are for the listeners. If you're in turmoil at this moment, just keep on thinking the peace that you're actually going to gain.
Yeah,
rewarding it all. Instead of going in turmoil, trying to figure out what to do next. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Think about the peace. Think about the peaceful part first. When you're wrapped in chaos, sometimes, and I'm speaking from experience, when I was wrapped in a chaotic space, I couldn't think straight. But the moment I settled my mind, I was able to get to that peaceful point in life.
I think it all goes back to when you say the 5 stages of grief, because people don't realize it is grief. It is grief. I can remember, even though I was the person who initiated all of that with my relationship, of when there was the final move out and I go in, I'm standing in my closet. I'm like, wow, half my closet is gone. It's just my stuff, and just knowing that this is real and it's here and all of that. I'm right here in it. There was a period of grief associated with it.
Right.
But I mean, it just took time to get used to the new norm, I guess, so to speak.
Exactly. But you know what, though? I don't know if a lot of people realize this. When you talk about the 5 steps of grief and loss, you're actually going to repeat that at least 5 times. At least 5 times. A lot of folks don't realize that. You're gonna go through the denial part. You're gonna go through the acceptance. You're gonna go back to the denial. You'll go to 3 and go all the way back to the 1. You're gonna go through these steps at least 5 times.
I would agree.
Negotiating with yourself. You're gonna negotiate with yourself why you should stay. Then you're back to forgiveness. Then you go back to negotiating yourself why you should be leaving. So it's an entire process, and you have to harness and acquire patience. When you're dealing with stuff, when you're going through things, you have to harness and require patience in that. That's the only way you'll be able to get to the other side.
So how long did it take you to really go through all that process and get to the point where you were okay and good with the decision that you made and that you felt that you were actually healed, so to speak?
After I wrote the book.
Which one?
Chapter of the Delta.
Okay. And how many years after was that?
That process for me started in 2005. It started in 2005. I didn't get acceptance and healing. I forgave myself first after I finished the book. And I sent her the manuscript before it was released. That's why we're still great friends to this day, because everything that the chapter of the Delta makes goes into a trust. So she was okay with it, and she read the book before anybody read the book. And I had things set up with the trust for the chapter of the Delta, specifically for that book. But when I completed the book, I think I was somewhere in between. I was on tour. I don't remember if it was Chicago or Atlanta, in between the two, when I finally gained peace with myself with that situation. So let's say from 2005 to 2013, it's a long time.
Was that 8 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm able to finally have conversations with her, fruitful conversations, meaningful conversations about a ton of things. We talk about life in general, everything. But before, I didn't want anything to do with her, period. Because I was still holding it. I was still holding the hurt, that pain, that anger. I was still upset by the terrain my life had changed and turned, twists and turns, and the trauma, all of that stuff, dealing with everything. Going from here to there, I was angry. So, but once I was able to face myself and deal with myself, it became okay. I was in the middle of I was speaking at an event somewhere. I can't remember where it was. It was somewhere in between Chicago and Atlanta. And as I was speaking in that moment, I forgave her. It took me 8 years. So if anybody out there who's dealing with situations like that, it takes a lot of patience to deal with stuff like that. When you're going through trauma, it takes a ton of patience with yourself. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to know yourself completely to move on with life.
Wow. So do you feel that you got to know yourself better through writing the book and actually putting all that out?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because that's why I write a lot about shared responsibility. She wasn't all to blame in that relationship. I was partly to blame. I had to take a ton of blame in that myself. I learned a lot about myself and sharing the responsibility in that relationship, going to pits, going to the dirt. She didn't do it on her own. I was a willing participant in that.
So it's funny you say that, because when I read the book, I didn't get any sense of that based on how you wrote it. As far as you having,
remember, I was in a desolate place, and I was actually still dealing with those emotions. Still dealing with those emotions. Like, let's talk about the book while we're at it. even before the marriage, I caused a lot of heartache. You remember from the book?
Yes, but are we talking about her specifically or just with women in general?
No, I'm talking about with some of her friends.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I had to take responsibility for those actions.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you do that though? Let's talk about that.
Romello being Romello.
I mean, that's just like, why would you do that? What would drive you to like? Because to me, there's like certain, girl code. Like my friends and I, like if you even remotely had an interest, you're my girlfriend. You even remotely had an interest in any dude, I'm not hollering at him. I don't care if he does come to me. I don't care. No, we just don't. I just don't do that. And the circle of females that I roll with like that, we don't do that. So why would you be trying to go through like not just her friends, but her sorority sister? Like that's an even closer.
But that was before we even that was before we even made everything official as far as a relationship.
Yeah, but you all knew each other based on the book. They all knew each other. They were all friends.
But they knew me. I was
just scandalous.
Knock it off.
No, but seriously, you was just scandalous. Let's just be honest, right? Own your truth. Stand in your truth. Stand in your truth. You was a scandalous hoe. I'm sorry. You just was. Because if it had been a female, the whole double standard thing, we would have been labeled the same way. This scandal, like all the bros had a that ran through that. You did that. You was a scandalous hoe.
I was.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was. But in order to, like I said, to share responsibility, so that's how I was able to make peace with this all those years later. I was able to make peace because I was being selfish in that moment, saying, "Hey, you did this to me." I was still pointing the finger. But I had a whole bunch of doing in that as well.
Question, church lady moment here. How did she feel knowing that you had gone through her sorority sisters when y'all got together? Like,
we never really, I don't think we ever talked about it like that. Because I mean, we weren't in a relationship.
Doesn't matter. No. So let's go back. If I remember clearly, you had already met before you actually started going through her sorority sisters, right?
Yeah.
You just had not been. You just were not in a relationship, but you had met. You were interested. There had been conversation, and so by the time that you guys got together, she knew about you being with her sorority sisters. So she didn't have any kind like there. I'd have been like, hell no, nah, bro, keep it moving. Like that's me.
Well, I mean, I was very, but we never really talked about that.
See, that right there is problem number one for me. Red flag number one on her part, I would say. But that's just me. Like if I had that kind of knowledge, like you done gone through my friend, nah, I'm not trying. Mm-mm.
Well, honestly, so from the book, you've read the book, entire book, but I hadn't heard from her in a couple of months. After that first encounter. So I hadn't heard from her in a couple of months. So I was going about my business.
Right. I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with you living your life. I'm saying as a woman on her end, knowing that you had been with her friends like that. And now
I wouldn't call them associate her friends.
So what were they?
I wouldn't call them associates. That's just called.
But they all knew each other.
They were familiar with each other.
They were familiar. Did they know, like, would they have known each other's phone number or how to contact each other?
I guess.
Yeah, no. It's a no.
And here's the thing.
I'm like Randy Jackson. It's a no for me.
Right. Well, let's just be fair. But as far as for me, I was a totally different animal. When I say animal, totally different animal. It was one city after the other, dealing with them and keeping it moving. I was an animal. I was a complete animal.
What the hell was you putting in these people's juice?
Nothing. I wasn't no Bill Cosby. It's just a pleasant conversation. That's all.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Didn't have to do much. It was a pleasant conversation. That's it.
Okay. Wait a minute. Did you just say you had to do much?
I mean, do what? I mean, fly over, hang out, and just hang out on the weekend. Take them to dinner, just hang out.
I can't say what I want to say because this is probably like, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to do it because YouTube been giving me some trouble. Family and stuff like that. So
like a nice family-oriented show, possibly.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, say it, clean it. You can say, but just
no, I'm not even. All I can say is you're just a scandalous hoe. That's all I can say. Thank God for grace and mercy.
Exactly.
And forgiveness.
Exactly. I was a hot mess. I
believe he says you didn't have to do much. So they were just like.
Romello was a Romello, man. I was just saying, Romello was a Romello.
I know you'd have had to put in some work. Yeah, you'd have to put in some serious work.
What'd you say?
Yeah, you'd have to put in some serious work.
Well, Romello, this is it for Romello. This is the installment. It's done. He's done. So
he need to be done. He really need to be done. Good gracious.
Actually, speaking of that, so Romello's actually out this fall, early fall, and behind me.
What we got there?
Hot off the press, the Conversation with Trent books have always, throughout the years, I've given these away with each major release from the series, whether it be the Four Horsemen, Chapter the Delta, Life, Little Addictions, all that good stuff, Conversation Volume 1 and 2, all that stuff. This book is always accompanied. I got some of these in from Barnes and Nobles, giving these away to these folks. So I'll be giving it out. It's a lot of random thoughts over the years and what have you and whatnot. And I'm just giving this out. Matter of fact, hey, Donna, maybe I'll send one to you. I'll send one to Donna. But I'm more sure she got all the Conversation books because she's always been supportive. But I'm going to give this away. Yeah. But, I mean, you know, that's the end of the road for Romello in this last and final installment.
Mm-hmm.
You think I should go down and retire?
I just can't believe all that. When I read the book, I mean, and it's funny or weird because you know he's a he's a low down dirty dog. Like it comes out right at the beginning of the book. You realize what type of man he is in the book.
Right.
Character, right? But then you start feeling sorry for him when he gets, played over the way he did. But I think it was easier to cheer for him when he was going through hurt as a woman. And I don't know how many other women, but it was easier for me to cheer for him because as a woman and as a mother, I just couldn't imagine just walking away from my child and saying, I don't want my child, or I don't want this. You know what I mean? And so I think it was really judgmental as women as mothers towards other mothers. Like, how can you say you don't want to be with your
child? I mean, at the same time, and Morgan's, we use character names.
Mm-hmm.
With Morgan, postpartum is real.
Yes, very.
It's super real. And at the time, I was going to the appointments and all that stuff with her and whatnot. It's super real. It's super real. Nothing to play with, and that's what she was dealing with at that time. And actually, that's what years later got me to the point of forgiveness, because in the middle of a speech, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm going through through the book like I normally do, and people doing a Q&A and all this other different things. I was like, wow, I wonder what she could have been going through. It had to be horrific for her.
Yes.
So it's real. Postpartum is actually it's real.
Yes.
Postpartum depression is real, super real. I experienced it. I lived it. I lived through it a ton of years. It's super real.
Yeah, but the point I was making though was not that to not say that there wasn't a medical issue that she was dealing with, right. But I don't think that was not elaborated on in the book, so to speak.
I was still writing from a desolate place.
Right. However, I think the point I was making was that it was the reason that you could see, or you wanted to feel sorry for Romello, was as a woman and as a mother when he was betrayed and went through all of that. I think that also played a lot into it, was that, you know, as women and as mothers, we just can't conceive that someone would just make the active decision that, no, I'm not, you know, I don't want to be your mother.
But honestly,
or the child.
right. Honestly, the relationship ended how it began. We ran that relationship and marriage as a corporation. And we ran that relationship as Williams Enterprise. And we made business decisions, relationship decision, everything. Everything was cut and dry. Everything was cut and dry. So how it started is how it ended. She made a solid decision and she didn't bend on it. She kept her word on it. I got to respect her for that. She kept her word on what she said. This is what she gonna do. This is what she did. Years later, I learned to respect that. But when I was going through, when the tables were turned on me, that was horrible for me. Very horrible for me. But looking back on it, I had to respect it, because how we start is how we finish.
Wow. So, quick question: have your children read the book?
My youngest has, yes. And when she did, actually, this kid is so smart. She ordered the book herself.
Wow.
and she approached her mother about it. It got kind of rocky for us for a minute, but we got through that. We got through it. She came to me for some time, and we worked through it. But she was upset because she was getting a totally different story than what she read. So she was a bit upset with her mother. But we worked through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Good stuff. But again, so you said for you it's quality, right?
Yes, absolutely, 100%, without a doubt.
Good stuff. For me, it's quality as well.
Did anybody say quantity? I don't know if you have any feedback from the other platforms that you're streaming on.
Yeah, everybody's pretty much saying the same thing. Quality. Yeah, I'm not surprised that they would pick quality over that. Quality means peace. Quality means tranquility. Quality means just stillness. All the above.
Right.
Anything attached to peace, that's what you should be choosing. So that's it. We got another one in the books. We got about 5 more minutes. Tell us a little more about Tops and Bottoms and where these guys could actually order these wonderful cookies, man.
Yes, and well, I won't take another bite, although it's very good, especially since they're nice and fresh. But on Facebook at Tops and Bottoms ediblecreations.com, actually both on Facebook and Instagram. So all you have to do is either message or call me. Website is coming soon so that you can actually order through the website. And thank you for those folks who have actually submitted orders. I've been fiendishly baking all day because I had lots of cookie orders.
It's a good thing.
Because of the cookie monster himself. And actually your brother was one of my customers. So
yeah.
I was very excited to hear that he enjoyed his cookies. So.
Yeah. Good stuff. That's Torrance himself. Yeah. Torrance has always been a cookie monster since we were kids.
Wow.
So yeah. And I enjoy the cookies as well. So looking forward to another batch out and whatnot. So you probably get a video or two from me again. But I really appreciate the sponsorship, man. Actually, I got a couple of announcements here before we let folks go. Conversation actually not changing the platform, but we're actually moving to where the conversation was before. Before I went on hiatus and took the 4 or 5 year break, it was streaming from the app. So this will actually be streaming strictly from the app. So we're going to remove ourselves from the Facebook world like I did before, all that other stuff, straight from the app. So they'll get the visual on the app. We'll be right there in the pockets of everyone. They could be on a subway, they could be on a plane, wherever, they'll still be able to get the conversation. Streaming 24/7 music and everything. So app is in the making. It's actually being built now as we speak. So I should have that up and running Probably next month. Hopefully, in time for the Romello release. So hopefully,
Nice. Congratulations.
yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
So is it still going to be on? It'll still be on Sundays.
Actually, we're gonna do Wednesdays and Sundays. We'll do like the random thoughts on Wednesday, like hump day, and then we'll come back on Sunday and do follow-ups. So Wednesdays and Sundays. You coming back with me or what?
We'll see.
What?
No. But no, I'd love to. So thank you. I was kind of shocked and surprised. I was like, wow, you think that people think I really have something valuable to say? So that's awesome.
But you do. You bring good perspective. Plus, you bring some peace.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I don't take it lightly.
Good stuff. I appreciate it.
So when does Wednesday start?
Wednesday, next Wednesday.
Oh, this Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll start with what is that saying? That saying when someone's attracted to conversation, intellectual conversations, when it becomes a trend.
Sapiosexual, yes.
There we go.
That would be me.
There we go. That's going to be the first conversation on Wednesday.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that should be really good.
Yeah. So, think about it, though. When for me, that's what stimulates me, the whole conversation brand. I'm considered a conversationalist, and I love intellectual women. I love speaking different languages to women. I love talking to women in a variety of topics. It's a turn on. It's a complete turn on. We could be talking about NASA 1 minute, then talking about quantity or quality. So it's very stimulating. I love to be stimulated mentally. Mm-hmm. So it's a difference. There's a difference. I prefer more stimulation mentally than any physical is involved. Okay. So yeah, I think we'll touch on that on Wednesday.
That's gonna be really a good conversation and dialogue.
There you go. Say the word.
There's a whole community out there of sapiosexuals. So.
Say that again.
There's a whole community of sapiosexuals out there.
Well, we're definitely gonna find out on Wednesday.
Yeah. So make sure. Hopefully you'll get a whole bunch of them tuning in for the conversation. That's gonna be on Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay. Around 7:00 hour, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. We'll make it work on Wednesday.
All right, I do have a request though. So since I'm having to send cookies, I would like some gumbo sent to me. I know it's not the season, but I'm craving it.
I talked to Torrance, and Torrance was like, man, does she know it's hot as hell in New Orleans right now?
I don't care. You got AC, right? You got AC.
Yeah.
You got AC, right? Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work.
Jack the AC up, sir.
We'll make it work. We'll make it work. But you have to have it. Do not tag me in that guy. I mean, I like the guy, the chef guy. He's cool and
Don't
everything.
talk about my chef friend. I like him.
Yeah, but snow crabs and gumbo.
But that's how I'm used to having it.
But you have to have it once you have the blue crabs with the blue crabs. You will not
I don't like the blue crabs. I don't. There's too much work trying to eat them. Like I don't like.
You'll be all right. Trust me.
When I was in New Orleans last year, I was there for like 2 weeks for work. I was there during Mardi Gras working, and I went and I was eating my way through New Orleans, and they said you got to have the fried blue crab, and it was just too much work. I didn't enjoy that. Like too much work.
Well, you wasn't with the right people. That's all. That's what I'm saying. You wasn't with the right people to experience the culture. The food culture.
Now you do have those char grilled oysters on point. Now I will say that. But
what you have when you ate? Did you have the Trump? The Trump oysters? What did you have?
No, I went to Drago's, or that's where I went and had the char.
You gotta get the hood oysters. Man. Drago's cool, but there's nothing better than going under the Claiborne Bridge and grabbing a dozen oysters.
Now, I will say the best meal I had. I had a Lyft. My Lyft driver while I was there for the 2 weeks. I kept the same driver. Took me to somewhere in the hood, and we went to a gas station. I had a restaurant. I think it was called Triangle something, But the restaurant was connected to the gas station. And I mean, the best, like that po' boy must have been like 2 feet long. Like it was so delicious.
Right. Yeah.
That was my best meal in New Orleans. Okay. I will say that.
What was it? We'll have to see if we work.
Triangle Deli. That was the name of it. Triangle Deli.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if we can work out these oysters for you. Get them from the hood or something. But Drago's, it's overrated.
Yeah, I don't mind going to the hood. I'm from Inglewood.
That's right, you're from Inglewood.
Yes.
Inglewood, where it's all.
Don't let the cute face fool you.
I hear you. So I see you on Wednesday, Miss Lady.
All right.
What's that topic again?
Oh, sapiosexuality or sapiosexual, something like that.
There you go. Good stuff.
That's going to be a great conversation. I can't wait.
We'll get into it. Talk to you soon.
All right. See you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody. Have a great week.
From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the Real Zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedie Media and your radio network. Would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward, to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.